What I want to do today is a little bit different. I want to press pause on our normal message flow, and I want to speak directly to what's happening in our world today. Now, if you've been hiding under a rock or not paying attention, you may not know what's going on in the world, but most of you would know that all around us today, there's so much unrest, anxiety, tension, and fear. As you know, the coronavirus is spreading as we speak. The stock market has been dropping, and people all over the world, unfortunately, are panicking. As followers of Christ, I want to try to address the question, what should we do? How should we respond to the fear, the anxiety, the tension, the virus that's spreading and has so many people worried and trying to figure out what to do? What should we do? As Christians, should we not worry about it at all and go about our everyday normal lives, or should we buy face masks and hand sanitizers and hide inside preparing for the end of the world? What should our response be as followers of Christ? Now, I don't want to pretend to be an expert in any sense of the word. I cannot tell you what's going to happen to this virus. In fact, I don't think even those who would call themselves experts could tell you what's going to happen. But what I want to do is try to speak into the life of our church from a perspective of us who should have faith. Before I kind of give you my thoughts, I want to try to tell you the story behind our quarantine, because I haven't talked a lot about it, and you're my church family, and I just want to share it with you. If you haven't been here and you don't know the story, Pastor Bobby Grunwald and I flew to Germany a little over 2.5 weeks ago to teach at a leadership conference. If you can imagine, there were about 15,000 people at this conference. There were 7,300 at our location where we were broadcasting from. At that time, there was only maybe 30 or no more than 40 people that had tested positive for the coronavirus. Unfortunately, one of those people happened to be at the conference. So Bobby and I went to a private small dinner with 14 people the night before the event started. We gathered with the other speakers. And then the next morning, I did the opening session teaching on leadership. Then Bobby and I ended up flying back and had boarded our flight, and we were midway back to our connecting flight in Chicago when we turned on Wi-Fi and got the very bad news that one of the speakers, one of the 14 people that we had dinner with, actually tested positive for the virus. So we immediately told the flight attendant, who notified the pilot, and they moved people out of our section, and they looked very, very angry with us, and now I know what it's like to be a leper. You don't want to be a leper or have the coronavirus on an airplane. We couldn't explain to everybody, we didn't know, but they gave us looks that were not like go to church, they were go to somewhere else looks, if you know what I'm saying. And when we deboarded the plane, we met with the health officials, and we decided to self-quarantine for 14 days. And very thankfully, at the end of that time, we were not sick, but we are praying for those who have been impacted. Now, those people who are close to me, a lot of them said, how was it? I mean, maybe like God slowed things down for you. You got a 2-week vacation. How was your staycation? What was your favorite Netflix show? Did you enjoy it? And so on and on. And what I wanted to say is, and I don't want to complain because I know there are people that go through real trials, and what we went through was not anywhere close to what a lot of people go through, but it was one of the most difficult seasons of my life. I don't know how to describe it, but I fought depression the whole time. What I realized is we're just not created to be alone. And that's why I want you to know you matter so much to me. My family matters so much to me. And so the whole time I had to fight to think on things that are pure and lovely and admirable and focus on the goodness of God and not the challenges of my personal situation. I did work nonstop. Putting a workaholic in isolation is kind of like putting a drunk in a bar. There was no one to stop me, and I hurt and I worked, and yes, through all the pain, I did get closer to God. The good news is about the 8 people that I know of in Germany that did contract the virus. They're all doing well. You can thank God for that. They're recovering and are going to be just fine. So that's a little bit of the story behind what Bobby and I went through. And that brings us to today. Today. If you look around, open up any news app, turn on the television, you're gonna see all sorts of news that may even be changing as I'm speaking right now. But we've got professional sporting events and conferences and concerts canceling as we speak. We've got some schools that are shutting down for the semester. We've got travel bans appearing right and left, and we know that grocery stores and even Amazon is out of toilet paper as we speak. The world is coming to an end, okay? What are we gonna do? Are we going to ignore it and act like it's okay and just have great faith? Or are we gonna stockpile beans and rice and stay home for the next 3 months? What I wanna do is talk about our perspective as followers of Christ and even how I'm thinking as we lead the church to reach a lost and a hurting world. Personally, I'm not going to make any long-term decisions today. We're not gonna say definitively, here's what's gonna happen over the next 3 months or 5 months or whatever. I found that in a time of crisis and panic, it's best not to project out into the future. It's always best to make wise decisions based on what we know today in this moment. And that's how we're going to lead. We're gonna lead day to day. We're gonna watch what's happening. We're gonna pray for wisdom, and we're gonna make the best and most wise decisions as possible. Now, as disciples of Jesus, I hope you'll know that the filter that forms our decisions is very different from this world. Our filter is not the same as this world. In fact, the Bible tells us, speaking of the word not, that we should not be conformed to the image of this world, but we should be transformed by the renewing of our minds so that we can test and approve what God's will is, His good, His pleasing, His perfect will. Everybody say not. Everybody say not. We are not of this world. We are not like everyone else. We are not to live in fear, and that's why the title of this message is Not Afraid. Not afraid. We as followers of Christ are not going to live in fear with an emphasis on not. Everybody say not. I want to show you 3 ways that we are not like this world. The first way we are not like this world, number 1, is we live by faith and not by fear. We live by faith and not by fear. In fact, when Jesus was comforting his disciples in John chapter 14, he said, do not. Somebody say not. He said, do not let your hearts be troubled. He said, you believe in God, believe also in me. He went on to say in verse 27, he said, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. He said, I do not give to you as the world gives. And because I do not give as the world gives, he says, do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. I hope that there's someone here that if you've been living in fear, if you're anxious all the time, if you're afraid of what's going to happen, where the economy is going, where the world is going, because we know Jesus, we do not live in fear. He gives us a peace that is not of this world. It is from his kingdom. We live by faith and not by fear. In fact, I love the way the New Living Translation translates the words of Jesus when it says this. Jesus said, I am leaving you with a gift. This is a gift. Some of you should receive this gift today. If someone gives you a gift, you should be excited. And when you open up the gift, you cheer and you say, thank you for this gift. Our God is giving you a gift. And the gift he gives is peace of mind and heart. When the rest of the world lives in fear, we open up the gift from our God, peace of mind and peace of heart. A peace that is not anything this world would understand. Is a peace that only comes from heaven. Jesus says, the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or be afraid. I hope you'll understand that God is not sitting in heaven doing the one-handed clap. Boom. I didn't see this coming. Oh my gosh, I didn't see the virus coming. I mean, I was so distracted by the U.S. politics with the election. I didn't even see this coming. I mean, it was kind of brewing in China, and I wasn't looking over there. And now it's all out of control. I don't know what to do. God is not panicked. He's not taken aback. He is not surprised. He is not afraid. We have to remember that our God is always faithful. He's always in control. Our God is good. Our God has a plan. Our God will never leave us. He will never forsake us. He's working in all things, everything, everywhere, every day. He will not leave you. Whatever you're going through, our God is working for good. Whatever battle you're facing, our God is with you. If our God is for you, who can be against you? Our God is present and He is always good. We, as followers of Jesus, we live by faith and not by fear. In fact, speaking of nots, the Apostle Paul said this in 2 Timothy 1:7. He said, for God has not, somebody say not. For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power and of love and of self-discipline. We are not panicking. We have the peace from heaven. We are not fearful. We live by faith. Paul said this, for we live by faith and not by sight. We live by faith and not by fear. Because somebody tell God, thank you for His gift of peace. How do we respond when the world feels like it's falling apart? We don't respond like the world responds. We are not like the world. We do not think like the world.